I'm Kate Wellham. I'm a freelance copywriter and a digital producer.
And I'm Clare Wellham, and I'm a greeting card and travel writer.
And we're going to answer the questions that you sent in for Remote Lab, and we're going to ask them to each other. First of all, what are your thoughts on libraries?
Well, I love my local library, and actually it's been really important to me, especially on the run-up to lockdown, because every week I've been going to a writing group there, met loads of nice new people, and it sort of helped me write differently to just greeting cards or just travel, and it's been a really good community.
So before I actually had the internet at home, when I was a teenager, I used to go to the library to hassle editors over email to try and get blag into gigs and try and get stuff published, get reviews published. And so libraries were really important because it was the only place that I could go and actually even make a start trying to be a journalist. So Lindsay wants to know how you got into travel writing, because it's not exactly like anything that you currently do or have ever done.
Yeah, that's true. It's very different from greeting card writing, but it's still writing. I've done a lot of travelling, a lot of backpacking, gone to different places, had some really weird things happen to me, and they just make really good stories. So for me, the travel aspect of it isn't like a travel guide. You wouldn't come to me and say, what restaurant should I eat in Vietnam?
You can tell us which restaurants not to.
Yeah, but mine's more just about the weird and wonderful things that do happen and the people, and it's just another type of story, really. So that's how I've gotten into it, and something a little bit different from the normal travel writing, I hope.
My travel writing came from doing festival reviews, and I would get invited sometimes by PRs to foreign festivals. And when I was there, usually they would make an effort to kind of not just go, here's the festival, but also go, here's the surrounding area, because that's, part of what good PR is about for these things. And so I got really interested in the actual travel aspect of it. Not more than the festival, but I'd say, a good amount. And so, I wouldn't say that I do travel writing exactly, but I definitely do travel content now, and I will trace it back to those kind of trips. So in the beginning, I thought I wanted to be a news journalist, and I remember I once went up to an editor of the Fly magazine. Actually, it was when I was about 16, I think, at an event, and I said, how do I get to be a journalist? Can I just come and work for you? And she said, look, whatever you do, you have to get your NCTJ, and I don't just mean for the Fly, I mean anything that you want to do. That is my advice, is to get that. And that stuck with me, and and I got it because of her advice. And when I set out doing it, I did genuinely think, I'm going to be a news journalist and write features and stuff. This is what I want to do. And actually, by the time I'd finished my course, I realised that I was far less interested in news and far more interested in features and other stuff kind of outside of the course context. But at the same time, just having the NCTJ has been absolutely invaluable to me. It's helped me to get all kinds of different work. And also it means that I can write in a news style if I need to, which actually a lot of people have needed me to do that for projects that weren't necessarily newsy projects. And it does teach you that, this is the style you write in for a news story, and this is the style you can do a feature in, and it helps you to see the difference between the two, which actually is not that obvious if you're just starting out. In terms of the legal grounding, it means that because anybody can publish anything now, I'm not accidentally going out there, defaming people and getting sued, because I know what to do and what not to do. It's the absolute foundation of everything I do now, even though I'm not a news journalist. And in terms of contacts, I think contacts are incredibly important. So I'm based in Bradford still, and although I'm not a journalist for the Bradford region, I do get asked a lot for contacts that I've got, but from people who are outside Bradford or even in Bradford, and they're doing a story or they're doing a piece of content, and they just think, Kate will know someone. And it's just because I kind of, I am interested in what people do and kind of how people are connected together and stuff. So having that kind of contact base is really important.
So what's the difference between copywriting and journalism?
Journalism is, it's writing news stories, it's writing for publications, it's writing as yourself, usually, for another title. Whereas copywriting is completely different. So when you're copywriting, you are that brand. So for example, I've done copywriting for Tommy Hilfiger. So I'm writing as Tommy Hilfiger to describe something that's on their website. I don't sign it with my initials. I don't tell people that that's my work over there. And I'm just a kind of invisible person behind the words. And any kind of business that does any kind of communication outside of themselves will have someone writing copy, whether that's a professional copywriter or they're doing it in-house. So there's a lot of work out there, but yeah, people tend not to have their names on it.
Please note, she is not Tommy Hilfiger.
I'm not Tommy Hilfiger.
And can you describe your work with BrickBox? Like, what's the crossover between writing, copywriting, journalism and marketing?
So with BrickBox, I do a lot of I did before coronavirus hit and we had to shut the venue and everything, but a lot of their marketing content. So that was everything from writing tweets to kind of planning campaigns when we went and did a series of events in one particular place, pop-up events, and writing web content and anything what they needed, where they needed words, they need to be able to get that out to people. And I'm doing it for a company that I like, but it is a job that you can apply to a lot of different scenarios. So it's something that I could be doing for other people as well. But actually, the reason I'm doing it for BrickBox is because I'm really into what they do. So it's not something I would normally be doing, I think, career-wise. But I think what they do is so important, and they're so much fun that I'm happy to do it. So how on earth did you become a greetings card writer?
It may sound very niche, but so I was always into poetry and creative writing, and I studied that at uni without really knowing what I wanted to do with it. I just went with what I enjoyed and what I was good at. And then I did a work experience placement for Card Factory, and that was 8 years ago now, and just fit in straight away, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
And what do you actually do all day?
Well, it's very different now, we're in lockdown, but a typical day will be looking at designs that have been mocked up and then writing something specifically for them. It could be coming up with new ranges and brainstorming with everybody, getting inspiration from anywhere and everywhere, or just free writing where we can just think of a season and try and fill in the gaps.
And if somebody else who's watching this wanted to also get into writing greetings cards, what would you suggest that they do?
Well, definitely need to have a very good eye for grammar and detail, because you need to be able to proofread. That is a really important part. And also you've got to obviously love creative writing, but also to constantly have the audience in mind. Just because you might think you're a really good poet, that doesn't always work well with what somebody would buy on a card to send. So always be thinking about, who's buying this, what's the occasion, what do I want it to say, and who's the recipient. And if you can get all that across well, then that's a good start. So can you tell us about live cinema, what it involves, and the travelling aspect of it and how that's changed?
Live Cinema is an organisation that researches and produces any kind of screening event that also has a live element. So we do a lot of like live soundtracks, for example, and like theatrical interventions, screenings. But more recently, we've been researching 360-degree screening venues, so kind of like planetariums, but for cultural content instead of for science content. All of that has obviously ground to a halt, and actually, because of coronavirus, we didn't get to go out and speak at South by Southwest this year, which we're planning to do. So all the events have dried up at the moment, but what we have found that we're able to do is create a new project called Head Holiday, which is taking everything that we've learned about 360-degree screening content and turn that into a new app, which is launching in October, which shows 360-degree travel and culture and nature content to audiences just in one app, and they can watch with a cardboard view. So it's like a VR headset, but you don't need to buy a VR headset.
So a question from Sally. She wants to make a film out of her book and she'd like to know if you've got any contacts for her or how is best to go about raising funds for such a thing.
So we're not generally in the business of making films, not narrative films as such, but the BFI is a really good place to start, and they also have film hubs, so regional film hub offices as well. And quite often you'll find that they've got funds available and support for first-time filmmakers. And you can always crowdfund as well. Plenty of films have been made that way. So we work with an artist called Richard Dedamenici, and he does a lot of projects that are, he gets funding from small businesses, or he'll do crowdfunders, and they're very short projects, and people really want to get involved with them. And he sort of casts people in his films who support films. So I think something like that would work really well. But yeah, definitely start with the BFI and see what resources they've got.
And Steve is making a suite of 6 short films and he'd like to know what would be the best way to promote them online.
The best way for no money is to reach out to people whose followers you think would be interested in the film. So depending on the focus of the film, for example, when I, Daniel Blake, was about to come out, I worked on a campaign which was a grassroots marketing campaign, and in Yorkshire I kind of reached out to people like labour councillors and debt charities and things like that, anybody who was even vaguely relevant, who had a lot of employees or a lot of followers on social media. And we invited them along to a free screening ahead of the film's release and said, if you like it, please will you tweet about it. And that worked really well. So it's not necessarily that you would be able to do a screening and say, do you want to come along to a screening? But you could say, look, I've got this film coming out. I thought your followers might be interested in it. Maybe send a preview link that person running the account can see. And yeah, just try and get some buzz about it that way. And if you do have any money to spend, I think really targeted Facebook ads are also a really good way to go.
Wow.